in my Lego kingdom. Because the skeleton army has been reanimated by the Old One, a vampire, it must operate under the same natural laws as its vampire master. It must travel, it must do combat under cover of darkness, never exposed to the light of the sun. Or like the Old One himself, all the skeleton troops will crumble into dust. Therefore, while the skeleton ghost ship crosses the misty ocean, by day the bony troops must flee to the safety of the darkness of the lower decks of the ship. To keep the ship on course and pilot it under the light of day, the Old One has sent a warlock under his command. But this is a distinct disadvantage, for in the daytime there is no crew to man the sails in the event of a storm. Knowing this, King Cuthbert has instructed the Order of the Sorceresses to conjure up a storm to blow the ship off course, and this the first sorceress does with the happy effect of slowing down the skeleton ghost ship. This buys the king time and allows him to put his plan into motion. He sends his wolf-pack rangers to find and bring back a very special and old friend of the king, the last of the elven magicians. The rangers find the magician in his cave, just where King Cuthbert instructed them to look. Upon hearing that the king was in need of his services, the elven magician instantly set out with the rangers. Upon reaching the king's castle, King Cuthbert explains to his old friend what's at stake. He wants the magician to work on preparing a potion known only by legend, the Potio Amplexus Lunae, the potion of the moon's embrace, a concoction said by legend to heal off all injuries from vampires or their legions. Without it, any of King Cuthbert's soldiers wounded by the skeleton's weapons will fall under the spell and control of the Old One himself. The elven magician agrees to try, and King Cuthbert brings him to a secret experimentation chamber deep within the walls of the castle, and gives him the ancient spell book that has been locked away for centuries. And here, the last of the elven magician's works, in a race against time, in a desperate quest to find the potion that will neutralize the danger of the skeleton army. Will the magician be successful in creating this legendary potion in time to protect the forces of good from the coming onslaught? The answer lies in the future. Tune in again next time and see for yourself. Hi, I'm Tom Bray, since 1954. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week I needed a simple build. Sometimes you just need something that doesn't have an overwhelming number of parts to build and just to relax with and have fun with, knowing there's not going to take you forever to build. And since I just finished building the Lion Knight's castle, which was a huge build, and last week built a 3-in-1 version of a tower, the castle tower, which I had to empty all 7 bags in order to do. And so it took a lot of building and a lot of sorting and took much longer, and it was much more difficult than I expected it to be. This week I just wanted something simple. And so I found that in this set 76431, which is the Hogwarts Castle potions room. And it's a Harry Potter set, and I was attracted to it originally because it was so colorful. All those beakers of formula and the ingredients for potions, and I just thought it looked really fun. And I knew I'd eventually find a use for it, and indeed I did. Now, this set only has 397 parts, and it's age 8+. I'm certainly plus. So I think this is really the sweet spot for me, 8-year-old sets, because they're just so relaxing to build, and I really love them. And I just had such a good time building this one. Now, when I bought this, I wasn't sure how I would use it. But when I thought about it for this week, I knew I wanted something in my lore that involved magic. And this seemed to fit the bill perfectly. Now, because the set is gray, the bricks are gray, I thought it fit perfectly as a room within the Lion Knight's castle. So I thought it would integrate really well in my lore as a secret chamber inside of King Cuthbert's castle. Now, I love the design of this. Um, Besides the decals, which everybody hates, although I must say the decals in this set, there are not a lot of them, but they do add a lot to the art direction of the set, if you will. They really make it feel like a laboratory, which is exactly the feeling you want. But I love the design of the set. I love that there are like lab tables that are all fitted out with spell books and quills and ink pots and then those beakers, those really colorful beakers, and then the bins of ingredients to use in spells. It just captivated my imagination, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate it into my fantasy kingdom. When I saw this potion class, it sparked the idea for me of making this piece of the lore about an ancient legendary potion that would need to be recreated out of the old spell and potion book. And so that's what kind of instigated it for me and made me want to build it this week. Now, it only took me, I don't know, it took me 2 days. I did 2 bags a day. I only worked maybe an hour each day. So it was very, very relaxing. Um, the only thing that was a little bit fiddly for me, and here's the senior builder perspective, are those single level 1 square bricks. And they've always been fiddly for me. Just because of the dexterity of my fingers. But this is exactly what makes Lego good for me, is that it's sometimes difficult to do that. And I dropped it a lot, those small pieces a lot, and I had to seat them and try to get them done. So a little bit fiddly, but not so fiddly that it was unpleasant to build. It was very pleasant to build and very, very relaxing. Now, I customized the set a little bit, because it came with these shields that are on the wall that I believe are collectible shields where you're never sure, they have on the box, it has like a question mark. I guess you weren't sure which shields you would get in the box as if this was a trading card that you wanted to collect. I guess that appeals to kids. I could have cared less. And since I wasn't using this as a Hogwarts set, I dispensed with those and I put up some shields for the Lion's Knight and the Black Falcon, since in my mind, this is a combined kingdom, all under King Cuthbert's rule. So I wanted the lab to have the feeling that it was in the castle, so I added those shields to the wall. I should say that the original plaques that go there were not decals. They're custom printed, and that's kind of cool. I mean, they're nice pieces. I just didn't find any use for them, but eventually I might. So when I created this lore, then I needed an elven magician to inhabit it, to be the one to create the potion. And so I knew that I wanted to use the elf bard's headpiece with that white head and those magnificent ears. So I used the top of the elven magician. I used a long kind of the white beard. It's white, kind of like mine. Which is a piece that I think Lego's had for a while. I don't know what set it originally appeared in, but I knew I wanted it, and I bought a couple of them in my last Pick-a-Brick order just to have. So that kind of added to the last of kind of lore. This guy's been around a while. For the torso, I used the Laughing Witch from the Dungeons and Dragons minifigure set, and so that's 2 of those pieces that come from the Dungeon and Dragons set. And then for the legs, I wanted this old magician, the last of his kind, to be short in stature. I just felt that was important. He was a wizened old elf magician. And so I actually used a pair of the legs from this Harry Potter potion set. I think the whole effect is really great. I used one of the black wands from this set as a kind of, magician's wand for my character. Now, I have to say something. Because this set is so detailed and realistic, I mean, it really looks like a potions lab. Um, I think it's really in the spirit of the Harry Potter novels. I remember when my children first read these books. Actually, I read the first couple of them to them because they were so young. Um, One of the things that captivated their imaginations was the fact that the Harry Potter universe was so detailed. It seemed like it was real because there were so many details to it. And so I think this set captures that spirit exactly because this potions class seems real. It has beakers that are wonderful colors. It has bins of ingredients. It just looks like the real deal. And I think that's really in keeping with the Harry Potter lore. I wonder if you've built this set and if you have, how you've used it, whether it's just as part of a Harry Potter world that you built or as part of a fantasy castle build. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And also, do you think there are any other sets like this that I could use that are simple builds that I could have in my simple build pile that'll, help me when I need to relax? Because these builds are lifesavers, believe me. The fact that I can build something 8 plus in a couple of days sometimes is just what the Lego doctor ordered. Leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. Until next time, happy building.